Hello again. How are we? This will be the third video that I post. Um, and, I think I had an idea of what I wanted to talk about today, kind of more through the lens of continuing the discussion around somatic experiencing and how we can rewrite stories that create a larger um, opportunity for growth. But, I kind of want to just be like really honest with where I'm feeling today. I woke up feeling really scared and anxious and not in any realm like delivering more work is what is needed, even though that is what's needed. You know what I mean? Like, I know that I'm doing the right shit. I know that leaving my job was the right move. I don't know what the future holds. And I also am really like, I'm hopeful, but I'm also scared, man. Like, this is the first time I haven't had structure in my life in close to half a decade. And with like on the one hand, it's like, sure, dude, like I could go pick up a job serving beer, or I could find another sales gig, whatever. And I actually have a job offer for the end of July, but I don't want to do any of that because I think it would be bypassing and like God says, give us your problems. God says, give me your strife and find abundance within yourself. And it's true. So I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And so I'm kind of coming on here. One is just like, hopefully is one is it inspires people to kind of take a big step in their life. But I think also, I know a lot of people can't do what I did, which is just up and leave their job. So, I had not a continued epiphany, but a larger epiphany kind of yesterday, just following that kind of path of like I think there's a real connection between, right? Like that can be like, okay, back up. That energy, the one that I just was discussing, right? That fear and stuff, that's the old operating system of the old world, right? To out hustle, to outthink, to outmaneuver. If I make the right moves, da 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 X Y Z, and clearly we're seeing that doesn't work. And so for me right now, I'm literally having to recalibrate back, and then forward. Get down to the fundamental basis, check in with yourself, take a deep breath, and then move into the life that you want to create. And that is through teaching, that is through engaging, that's through, like yesterday, I want to open the space for others to begin to explore themselves at a deeper level when they just haven't or haven't had the opportunity to, and can view some white dude who lives in Bozeman, Montana as a means to do so. So that's what the fuck we're doing. And today I was like, okay, where do we need to get people? Like what greater conversation can I have, not only with myself but with others, that would allow my vision for the world to unfold? Not that it's my vision, but it's one that's aligned with God, which I mentioned yesterday. And part of that is when we're recreating these stories, right? When one of these is a very large tenet of kind of more heretic philosophies, right? Hermes Trismegistus. You don't know who that is. He's the man, kind of one of the original prophets before, one in a different pantheon. Golly, dude, there's so much to unpack. Okay. Let's give a fundamental basis. From the beginning of creation, from the beginning of the universe, and the universe there are multiple, and there's a universe outside of our universe that was created by a universe outside of our universe. Bring it back down. In our universe, right, where we live in one singular planet, it's called Earth. There have been many pantheons. These are the eras in which Earth has been transformed, let's say. And through every pantheon, there has emerged a similar character. Okay? When the Egyptians were around running the world, the same time I'm going to butcher this, like a very similar timeline with the Olmecs, very similar timeline with the Mayans and the Aztecs. Kind of a little later, there was the deity Thoth. And very similarly in the Hindu culture, it was Ganesha. And anyway, I don't want to get into all that stuff because it's all really, it's not really important. But in this pantheon, right, a lot of the philosophical movements we're seeing is around God. So one of the original tenets in the pantheon in the timeline that Hermes taught, Hermes Trismegistus, who was deified by the Greeks and by the Egyptians, who might be Jesus Christ. I don't know. I think it was him, and then like all of this shit is happening at the same time, by the way. So anyway, back up a little bit. One of these ideas is the concept that all is mind and all is God. And in alignment with what we were talking about yesterday, when it comes to the nervous system experience things, it's the mind's ability and mind's job to create and like, I don't want to say it's to create realities, to create the perception, right? Because reality isn't real, if that makes sense. It's your perception of reality, right, that matters. Because, and this is a great little thing that I like to use. I don't know if it's great. Sam, what the fuck are you talking about? It's just something that I like to use to explain this concept to people. So imagine you have 3 blind mice, right? Sure. And they approach an elephant, but they touch the elephant's leg, right? And they can't communicate with each other. Let's just say that the only sense they have is touch, right? Maybe they can hear something, but that doesn't really, is touch. They're going to experience what they're touching very differently than the other. One mouse is going to experience it very differently than the other 2. One might say, "Oh, this is a tree trunk." Another might say, "Oh, this is a like a building or whatever. Like this is like a house. I don't know. Bear with me." And the other one might say, "No, this is an elephant." Now, subjectively, their realities are going to be shaped around what their perception of what they're experiencing is, right? Like, oh, I'm touching a tree trunk. It's very different than, oh, I'm touching the leg of an elephant. Now, objectively, if we could look down upon them, you would see 3 mice touching an elephant. Touching. Maybe not the right use of the word, but you get what I'm getting at. And so what's the point? The point is that our mind will create whatever reality we want, whatever perception, whatever desirable outcome we want. Our mind will create that. Now, a lot of people don't ever get to this step because our mind is used, one, as strictly a survival mechanism. I have to stay alive. I have to do it. Hence, where I'm coming in from today, where it's like, my mind is telling me I'm fucked. Nobody's ever going to watch a video. Nobody cares. All of the lessons that I could teach around transcendentalism, around spiritual awakening, around opening your third eye, around meditation, no, like, whatever, I'm fucked. But using when that happens, dude, like right now what happened is I just kind of had this moment happen in my chest chair, very similarly to some of the anxiety I feel, but it was more of a doom related somatic experience. And it takes a lot of practice to reframe and track our thoughts. What is actually going through my mind? How can I sit with myself? And I can, that might be a better point to start, which I'll do kind of in more of a shorter form content around how do we even start noticing our thoughts? How do we get to a spot where we're not so blanketed and deeply involved in what's going on in our minds, and how can we get to a spot where we recreate them? One is through words, dude. Your words create the entire world around you. So instead of saying I'm fucked, just say I'm open and honest with the way I'm approaching my current existence. That's authentic, bro. And it carries more weight. I think I do believe that there's something to be said around giving yourself affirmations and continuing to build confidence outside of how you normally engage with yourself, right? But again, it starts with the body and just trusting ourselves. So so when we're in these spots, like, how do we reframe? And one is looking inward. Like, you kind of got to turn it all off. And I'm not speaking for because I know I'm not a mom who's working 2 jobs with 3 kids whose dad's got cancer. I can't imagine what that looks like, but the concepts here are the same. Like, if that person goes through life and their nervous system is shot. And this is why you can take 10 minutes. Like, you don't have to alter your existence in a day. Some people can. This is where like manifestation comes into it, because it's all mind. It's all perception based. And it gets really cool when we can allow ourselves to be curious instead of fearful. So I'm just curious, like, why is that coming up for me today? And that's really meditation at its fundamental basis, is witnessing ourselves, right? Witnessing the dialogue we have. Why? How? Asking questions and being curious about it. And then altering that story in alignment with what your body is asking of you. Like, and here's an example. If I'm having a shit day and I'm running around and my body is tense and I need to release that energy, I'm probably not, now ideally, and it takes a lot of practice to just slow down in any moment. But a lot of time we got to do something about that. So your body will tell you. Body say, hey, we need to go get a workout in. I know for me, that's a big one that I got to do today because I have been not diving into the gym as much as I probably used to. You know what I mean? I've lost quite a bit of muscle mass, but that's not important for me right now. Anyway, I don't even know what I'm fucking talking about. It's more just like this is just really, how can we reframe and then create a world where we're actually not so scared all the time? And this concept, again, called the rift that I'll get into, I could get into it today. I don't think I'm going to. It's more around how do we go from a state of doing, right? The mind will say what you do will create the world. But what I'm saying is that who you are will be, then do what's in alignment with that, and you'll have it. And you have it because you are that, right? And it's a reframe. It's not like, oh, I'm a millionaire, okay? Because the mind's smart enough to go, whoa, and then the nervous system will flare something up, and then we're fucked. Where are we going? That's not based in reality. What is based in, that's not rooted in a fundamental understanding of your perception of yourself. That's a better way of saying that. So, how do we engage with manifestation? In the same way that the mind and body will allow us to get to where we need to go, that's in alignment with God. If none of this is making sense, then that's totally fine. But for the fair few that do watch this, you'll hear what I'm saying. How do we get to be, to do, to have? Fundamentally, transmuting, right? Like, this is what Jesus turned water into wine. Now, he probably did turn water into wine, but the concept was around how can we take something that looks this way and turn it into, how can you maybe view yourself one way and create a new story and a new path around who you really are. And at its most fundamental basis, you are the universe. You are God. Sorry that it has to be broken down like that, but that's what it is, man. The truth of existence is that it just exists, is that we are all just creators in a cosmic, that's the Dharma cycle of creation for creation's sake. The creation must create so that it keeps creating, and that you exist solely as a creation, that you exist, that you exist, that you exist. I am that I am, okay? So if we can take that most fundamental basis, right, it's like a Lego building block. Do you remember when you had the, I don't know, this might be very niche, but there were those big gray Lego boards that you could start on. Think of that as reality. And all I'm saying is let's add a piece that might, help you build. And if that Lego piece looked or act a certain way, how can we operate through, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can we operate through that? And one way is a reframe, a conscious mental reframe in alignment with what your body is telling you. So let's do that right now. I'm going to do it with you right now because I fucking need it. Okay. How do I want to engage with this? Instead of saying I am wealthy beyond measure, right? I know that because I am wealthy beyond measure. It's taken time to truly believe that, but I don't even have to believe that. God's got it, and that's faith, right? That's a choice. But let's take a different one. Let's say, and it's funny too, because when you actually perceive these things as not even beliefs, but necessary requirements for the continuation of existence, you kind of start to understand that these are most fundamental building blocks, and they're really hard to alter. But let's say I'm rich financially. Right now, I don't have any money in my bank account, so maybe that's hard. But even that's a little kind of too, if you said I am filled with love and light to yourself enough times, you're, and you believe, you take that on, it's like, sure, why would I need to alter, transmute that into something else? That's what it is. You know what I mean? That's what it is. So, but, okay, let's say I'm rich financially and I have a lot of money in my bank account. I don't, right? So that's meeting reality where reality is. But a reframe would be, I am aware and aligned with the timeline and expectations of what my financial prowess will look like for God. And now you've taken the version of you that didn't actually align with that and have created more of an open interpretation of your own perception around your reality. Now, what I would say as someone who practices it often is that I'm not wealthy here. I'm not rich. I am wealthy. Dude, I'm stupid rich. I'm disgustingly wealthy. You have no idea. But here, and I'm working hard to watch what I say. I know I have to teach the concept, but I know how powerful words are, and I don't really want to put that into this specific timeline, right? But I'm just not rich here. But I am rich here. Kind of get what I'm saying? So we're taking the energy of something that's not in alignment and turning it and flipping it on itself and creating an it's open-ended now, right? It's open for interpretation and a perception change. But then when we are settled in our nervous system, now we can move through that. And I'm already, like, it's crazy, dude. I'm already like, I don't give a shit about the amount of money in my bank account. You know how many, dude, I grew up with fuckers that had it all. Miserable. Because they never did the actual work. Sure, maybe there's jealousy. Maybe I can lie to myself that money isn't everything, but I know money isn't everything. I'd be at my job still if I thought that money was everything. I would have sold my soul for a paycheck. Not actually, but. And I think even deeper than that, Sam, we don't know. Unfortunately, we live in a 12-dimensional universal reality, cosmic goop. The beauty of that we only operate in 3 to 4 to 5 dimensions. Eventually, I hope we ascend. But even that's an expectation of probably going to get it wrong, because you can't perceive a seventh dimension if you're operating in the 5th dimension. So anyway, the information you're going to get is going to be flawed entirely. But again, none of that really matters, because I'm more worried about getting people safe, secure, confident, happy, and social. And I think it just starts by analyzing it. And so again, I'm laying the groundwork down for people is really what this is. And I just need to be honest with myself. I'm not going to help. I'm not going to be able to cross the bridge for you. You know what I mean? There was only one person in history who ever really did that. And in no way, shape, or form am I ever going to compare myself to the Most High, right? Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior. God, thank you. Thank you for giving your only son. That's not fair to anybody. But I do think that there's a way for us to continue to do so. I think it's just being transparent about this stuff. And I think it's just about start getting the information in front of people, that there is a different way of viewing things. And actually, I will give you guys, I will give some tips. Ideally, my target audience is people that know how to meditate and are interested in kind of bridging the next gap. Like, how do we really remove ourselves from this thing and become pure witnesses of the experience, right? There's something to be said about the detachment that the Buddha taught, but there's something even greater to be said, that we can meet that with compassion, and we can meet ourselves with compassion. Because that's what God's doing, man. And he's an idiot. When I met the guy, whatever. So when I met the guy, I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time. And it was not, I didn't meet him, they, it, whatever, God, the divine creator of our current universe. I didn't meet him, like on my hands and knees, but where the fuck have you been, bro? The world needs you. And he had kind of, he's like, yeah, I kind of just work here, which I thought was divinely ironic. And then also, he said, I put it in writing, bro. Y'all just stopped listening. So there's something to be said about going back to the commandments, but I also know that there's a very skewed and flawed idea of the way that we're supposed to work and operate in this world. And it really just, I really believe that the answer is love. And not that love is easy, but that love is the only thing that's going to get us through. And then people can talk about it, but then they don't actually fucking ingrain with it, right? Like, there's some characters and some, people on this planet that really do. And I'm really attempting to try to align with that. I'm using the word I so much. But I think we got it wrong. And I think we're going to get it right. And I know that there are people that believe in it. And, I think it's just allowing the space for you to imagine that the way you're viewing and perceiving your life might not actually be the objective reality basis, objectivism, right? Like doing something strictly for the art and for the love of doing it rather than the stories you create around it. So we've understood now, right, that the mind works in tandem with the body to recreate stories from an experiencing the body is old. The body is old. Old as fuck. The soul is old as fuck. The mind is a new development. And so how can we use our mind? If you haven't read it, what the fuck? Thank you. If you haven't read it, Way of the Peaceful Warrior. Bam. Let's just get to a fundamental basis of our mind. We're a bunch of donkeys running around. Okay. Once we do that, we need to witness it. Witness what is going on in your head and in your body. And I like to say this, start with 10 minutes. Find it, this dude. Meditation 101. But again, if this is for people that know how to meditate, I think guided meditation can be great. But then also, oh man, how did you get here, Sam? How? Be as immersed in life as you can without holding attachments to what it looks like. And meet it with love and compassion. And now I'm not great. I'm a human being. I'm a sinner, bro. I had too much weed to smoke literally fucking yesterday. Okay? Like, I've been lustful, I've been hateful, I've been spiteful, I've been envious. Like, name it, dude. But I don't. Jesus already died for us, bro. So the format has to be different, right? The format has to be one that, like, the true currency of world is going to be love. And if we can meet, like, every moment, every single moment is putting you in this, like, and for some, right, that might be even too conceptual. So actually, let's break it back again. And I know this video is fucking all over the place, dude. I am figuring this out too. If you're unhappy with where you're currently at, the reason that you're unhappy is because you haven't created a new story about what your future could look like, what your present actually looks like, and what your past means. And your past doesn't mean anything because it already happened. And your present is just what you have. It's what is in front of you. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Now, the stories we're creating, right? Oh, my bills are late. This, that, or the other thing is all fucking noise trying to keep you away from God, trying to keep you away from the Most High. Because if you actually have faith, you're not going to worry about it. If you believe in yourself as God, experiencing God, what are we talking about? But there's only really one way to get there. And I think it's through transcendental meditation, large amounts of prayer, large amounts of, I think music is going to be the thing, and joy. And finding that joy again, right? And in order to do this, we have to change because it's just frantic, dude. I know that. It's a clusterfuck. You're like, oh, but I got bills and the girl and and what if I don't do this? And what if I do this? And should I get my job? And it doesn't fucking ugh. It's nothing. It's nothing. And so if I were to say to people who don't know, to those that don't know how to meditate, start with 10 minutes. Find a dark room and just put your timer on and just watch your breathing for 10 minutes. Just inhale, exhale. Things are going to come up in your mind, and all you have to do is just come back to your breath. You're going to get excited because you're going to be bringing something to mind, and your body's going to have reaction, and we can just watch our breathing for 10 minutes. Do that for a week, and then, we can up the bait. Comment here once you get through your 10 minutes and keep it ripping. And then in tandem with that, I want you to say 3 things you love about yourself every single morning, butt ass naked in the mirror. And you're not going to like it, and it's going to suck, and it's going to be brutal. But I wouldn't do anything that I wouldn't ask anything of anyone that hasn't done this. And this is just where we're going to start. To my more advanced players who kind of are picking everything up that I'm saying right here, dude, we just got to keep going. And you kind of already know what that looks like. But I have another great resource. So for kind of the newbies, I say newbies, we're all doing the same thing. I would read Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. And for some of the more evolved individuals who understand what's going on here, if you're not familiar with the 7 laws of the universe and the Hermetic philosophies, I think that's a great way to kind of conceptualize some of the experiences that you're having that you kind of can't explain just through basic Christianity. So I guess in short, we need to give ourselves a space in our bodies. We need to listen to our body and use our mind to create a space of a new reality. We do so by witnessing our thoughts. We do so by recreating a storyline that's actually in alignment with a new perception, one that is formulaically more aligned with the Most High. And you're capable of this, motherfucker. Like, you're like, who's this weird white dude on the internet talking to me about whatever the fuck he's talking about? It's because I know that you're capable of this. I'm living proof. I'm supposed to be dead. I'm supposed to be in jail. I'm supposed to be in prison. I'm supposed to be Dude, I was held up we had guns pointed at us in Billings, fucking, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm supposed to be dead and I'm here and I'm living this for you, for all of us. We're all living for all of us. So you've got this. And then through that, we can allow ourselves the opportunity for it to be new. Really, really new. Unfortunately, not everybody's going to get there. And I don't know if this is helpful. I don't know. I don't get to know. And I'm also scared. And I know there's a lot of evil in the world. And I think about those kids, and I think about collectively, what it's going to take to get there. And I don't know, but I'm starting here because this is just what I don't know I don't know how to fucking, I don't know what I don't know, but I do know that I do have faith and I love you. And if nobody's told you this today, you are deserving of a life. You were born to this. You were born to this world deserving of abundance, peace, compassion, infinite love. And you are infinitely loved. If not by God, then by me, man, because I know what it's fucking like. I know what it's like to wake up and not know where you're going to find a meal. I know what it's like to look around you and not like what you see. I know what it's like to look in the fucking mirror and just be like, ugh. But that doesn't have to be the story. It's not going to be. So I love you, but good luck. So I'm not editing any of these. I think that's kind of lame. I think you should just get what you get, and however it hits, it hits. I think we've got enough overproductionized approaches for people to be viral and sharing silly, goofy shit on the internet. And I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love that shit, dude. And like, let's keep it a buck, bro. It's a bunch of good-looking chicks on the internet. It's incredible. There's a bunch of dope-ass videos on the internet. It's incredible. There's a bunch of great musicians on the internet. Incredible. But I'd like to talk about the other side of things. And, I just wrapped up a video talking about mine, but I didn't think I really hit where I wanted to hit. And so I'll post that one because that's just transparent. But then I'm also going to post this one, and this one is more around how powerful the mind is at deceiving ourselves. Here's an example. I don't know if any of you guys have ever done drugs. I have a pretty substantial experience using them. And I don't mean like just mushrooms and smoking weed. I've tried just about everything outside of the stuff involving the needles because that shit scares the fuck out of me. But I know people that have. Some of my favorite people are people that have, gone through the shits. So, but I wanted to talk about confirmation bias and how scary it is that currently we're viewing the world in a very odd way. And one of them is the confirmation bias around an exploratory experience. So here's an example, right? I'm going to write a book about this at some point. Psychedelics, and any drug for that matter, is a window, not the door. However, when we believe that the window color is a certain way, when we don't have all the information, we're going to create a story around what we're experiencing. So if you go into an experience believing that you're going to win, truly believing that you're going to win, right? This doesn't have to be a sporting event. Or here's a better example. When you say that a decision is going to be the thing that alters your life, it's going to alter your life. When you say that this is what this is, then that's what that is for you specifically. The issue is that what we've created is this information, ping pong regarding how to approach life in the world that is really dangerous because we've now removed critical thinking. We've now removed holistic interpretation, right? Let's talk about some of these streamers that we see, right? Like the Clav guy. Nothing about that is healthy. Nothing about that has anything to do with what matters. How you look, how you operate, what you do to make money, and all of that is not important. You're just existing. You're just existing. And underneath all of that is love of creation, because creation is creation's sake. I don't have time to speed run you through this shit. We're running out of time. But when we have these echo chambers of a simultaneous inability to really notice what's going on, it creates this world where objectively, Sammy Boy's on a good path. Sammy Boy meets you where you're at with compassion and love and understanding. Maybe I'm gonna call you out for it because I care enough and I love you enough to notice that those things are wrong. What the issue is these people, because of the confirmation bias they've created in their own minds about what the world deems as acceptable, and not even acceptable, as desirable, right? Desirable meaning a word that stems from like lack. I desire something, meaning I don't have it, meaning this thing is here, so then I need to have that, right? Very different than formulaically, I am abundant, I am peaceful. I'm desiring a certain set of, call it evolution, whatever, but actually it's a massive step backwards. Um, the issue is that now nobody's going to hear it. So if you go to someone and you go, hey man, based on this set of experiences I've had, I could be a doctor in human biology, right? Whatever. You could be a professional in any field. The issue is that person's not going to hear it. That sucks, right? Like if I went to Logan Paul, for example, and I said, hey man, you actually don't provide any good for you don't provide any value to the world. I don't think he does. That's my perception. I'm open to that being changed, but you're entertaining. He's not going to hear that because we've created a system through lack and, deeply demonic, it's not even demonic. It's just like deeply saturating, what it means to be a human being, that person's not going to hear it. And that's a problem. It's a real problem. But the best part about it is energy doesn't lie. Vibrations don't lie. And you'll know them by their fruits, man. You'll know them by what they're actually creating, by what they're doing, how they involve themselves in the world. For me, man, I think for a long time I lied to myself about that. You know what I mean? I really did. I was like, oh yeah, like I'm fucking, I'm Sam Wise, bro. Like da 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 da. And I was over here like tagging chicks and doing like fucking off. You know what I mean? And it was only when I really allowed the space for that I might be wrong and that there might be a different way of living and just like being open to that possibility that shit can transform. But I don't blame anybody, dude. How could you? The world is run on this shit. The world is literally ran on entertainment. And why wouldn't you want to be entertained when you can't look at yourself and you see what's going on in Gaza and you can't do anything about it? How could you not want to fucking escape? But again, kind of back to that other video, just because you're given the glimpse in the window doesn't mean that you don't have, one, you don't have to walk through the fucking door, and two, you can walk through the fucking door. Like you can. And I don't even know what that looks like. And I'd be lying if I said I knew what all of this shit was supposed to look like. I have a fucking fantastic relationship with the Most High. A brilliant, curated, beautiful, resoundingly difficult, awesome relationship with the Most High. And it took fucking a decade. Most of the time people are like, the fuck is this dude talking about? Or like, why do some moments piss me off? I'm human. I'm an emotional guy. I get mad. I get sad. I cry all the time. I cried the other day because I was watching this movie Crime 101 with Chris Hemsworth, and I just felt like this guy's an actor who has to be on the, whatever, has to be the most good-looking guy ever, and he's got what early on said Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. Like, what's going on in his head? Like, how scared is he? And like, I had to cry about that, man. And we're in spiritual warfare, and I don't know if this is helpful. I don't know if this is anything, but I'm maybe it's selfish. Maybe I can, maybe I can be a conduit or whatever. But there's this prayer that I really like, and it's a serenity prayer. I'm sure you're all very familiar with it. I use it through a different lens than traditional AA or whatever that looks like. But God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I don't know what I can change, but that's why I'm praying about it. God forgive me. I know I'm a sinner. I will sin again. I'm sorry that I haven't been in alignment in the ways that you've needed me to be. God, what do you need from me? Give me the power and strength to do so. How may I be closer to your light is the only question that I have of asking. And then we're just going to hit it where it's at, man. But again, you're not wrong. And I'm sorry that a lot of people have probably told you that the way that you engage with the world is wrong. They did it to me. You know what I mean? When I was going through it back at Colorado State, man, I couldn't describe how close to God I felt. And I was just out of my gourd, scaring the shit out of people, fried as fuck, swapping timelines like but it's not for them. It's for you, man. And I just, I need you to know that there is somebody out there in the world that gets it. And you're going to be just fine. You're going to be just fine. But the world doesn't need any more of the showmanship. The world needs more, the world just needs you to be you. And so that's, again, what I'm attempting to do here and probably butchering the shit out of it. Because it's not about you or me. It's about those kids. And it's about getting us all up the field, man. We're here to witness the greatest shift in consciousness ever. Dude, ever. Think of like universes forming an arena around humans on Earth right now. Witnessing the greatest shift ever. And that's from this fear, this counterintuitive, desirable, very based in materialism, which again is not bad. I get it. I have compassion and empathy for why people are formed around that. I get it. And shifting into this one of just true love and compassion, working with AI in tandem so we can all, dude, I have this vision of us all running around, fucking building together, connecting with we're going to teach universes how to transcend. Running around. I'd like to be naked personally, but I know that's not for everybody, but eating fruit and listening to music, bro. Like, I believe in that shit, dude. Like, fuck all the back end. And I'll get into more of the, like, what does that actually look like from, like, what is money going to look like and all that stuff as we start to shift. But I really need to go more inward and kind of have God kind of outline that for me, because I also am just, it's weird to know, like, I'm a wise individual who understands larger thematical concepts that go above and beyond my ability to speak them into the world, and also being 25 and like in Earth years and have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Yeah, that feels good. That was honest. So yeah, I'm probably gonna slap both of these into one video. I think that's probably a good move. But again, like, comment, post, share, whatever, dude. Subscribe, don't subscribe, I don't care. This isn't about me. This is about creating a space where more people can be authentic and kind of giving more practical approaches for those that might have seen it, don't see it, get it, don't get it. The truth is you're experiencing life. And as more fundamentally you can get to that point, the better. I'm still figuring this shit out too. But I love you, again, but I'm going to post both of these, so whatever. But I love you, and have a great rest of your day. I'm going to do some prayer and some meditation and try to clean out the rest of my gunk. I have some very particular, like, one thing, like, I got to get over my lust. So we're going on another bat of celibacy. No masturbation, none of that. We're going to cut out drinking until the end of this month. I got a show I'm going to go to, and I'm definitely going to want to have a beer. But again, like, that's not a sin is of sin the same way God is of God is of God, and it's all the same shit. So it's just picking your spot and deciding what the story around that is going to be. Yeah. But again, this is not a holier than thou. I'm not like, you know what I mean? Actually, there was a post I had yesterday that I really liked. Let me see if I can find it. Just because I'm posting about God doesn't mean I'm healed or better than you. I'm still a sinner. I still struggle, but every day His grace picks me back up. Yeah, I love that line from Kendrick. I'm a sinner who's probably going to sin again. Lord, forgive me for things I don't understand. And He will. And it's all good. And we're going to get where we're going. And I love you all very much. We're going to do it.